Hello, it's me. So apparently, Bill and Hillary, Bill and Hillary Clinton have been subpoenaed in the Epstein investigation. And rather like the P. Diddy court case, the Epstein investigation is the gift that keeps giving. So shout out to Sky News Australia for their coverage. Go over there and watch the full article. See what they have to say for themselves, eh?
Well, in developing news this morning, Bill and Hillary Clinton are amongst a list of high-profile figures who've been subpoenaed by the US Congressional Committee. The investigation is in relation to the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case. David Blevins reports from Washington.
It is very rare for congressional oversight
to demand Australian
a
accent,
deposition from a former president of the United States. The House Oversight Committee had already subpoenaed Ghislaine Maxwell, the former girlfriend.
There's a big difference between putting a subpoena up for Ghislaine Maxwell, currently an inmate, and putting out a subpoena on the Clintons. Anyone who's looked even mildly into the more conspiratorial allegations surrounding the Clintons will know straight away that there's an alleged pile of bodies, ex-employees, etc. I mean, who knows, for God's sake? It's all sort of, as I say, very conspiratorial or all alleged. But apparently there are, these people who are alleged to have passed away are, real people, with real lives. So subpoenaing, is that a word? Putting a subpoena out for people who are that powerful, regardless of the whole, alleged body thing, who are that powerful. I mean, are these really the kind of people you want to mess about with? Probably not.
And an accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein, but it's now added to that list. Former President Bill Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, a number of former Attorneys General of the United States, and a former
Looks like they're serious.
FBI Director. That is significant for several reasons. It demonstrates bipartisan momentum on transparency because Democrats voted with Republicans for this to happen. It also means the committee will now hear from people with known ties to Jeffrey Epstein, the late paedophile and sex trafficker. Bill Clinton's connections to him, for example, have been well documented.
They've been well documented, right? But what's going to happen in reality? Right? So the subpoenas are out, they get him in for questioning. We're never going to see the footage of that questioning. And all they're going to do is obfuscate and evade. If I was Bill Clinton and I was being, what would you do? There was nothing going on. I only had business ties. And Hillary Clinton, you drag her screaming and kicking into a skiff to question her. And I'd love to see the footage of that. Definitely. But nothing, I can't genuinely see anything happening. Are they going to put these people in jail? Are they going to suffer any consequences? A former president of the United States and a very powerful wife. I'd like to see it happen, though. I'd like to see him try.
And it sets up a potential showdown between the Department of Justice and Congress, because if the US Attorney General Pam Bondi continues to refuse to release the Epstein files, then it will simply fuel concerns about a constitutional crisis in America.
I said a few videos ago that Pam Bondi had been made Trump's sacrificial lamb when it came to the Epstein files. They will drop her like a hot potato as soon as she becomes too inconvenient. And let's be clear, I think she's doing her job as well as she can. But Trump put her between a rock and a hard place. Then there's the whole story about Ghislaine Maxwell getting moved to a less serious prison environment. And the more outlandish talk, but there are people out there who are saying it and they seem to be quite credible. And in all seriousness, are repeating the rumour there may be a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. she's already said, despite apparent visual evidence to the contrary, that President Trump did nothing wrong. Is she also going to say that the Clintons did nothing wrong? Is this what this is about? Ghislaine Maxwell effectively cutting out of the list for the purposes of public consumption those people who we, the public, think could quite possibly be guilty of offences. I keep saying politics is a dirty business, and nothing would surprise me at this point. So tell me what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is me signing off. Look after yourselves.